When you're trying to get to the highest part of your brain and people just keep testing you, yeah. Sometimes it is like that, yeah. So I came home this morning. What I put on the community post after that, I spoke. Everything was, it's, when the audio misaligns, it's like I'm in a layer, a different layer, right? That's not trickery by technology. You know, my videos are basic. I just put it in my phone. I don't have enough memory for, or whatever it takes to like put any apps on my phone to like, and my stuff is natural. So I'm not doing any embellishing with them, this and that, okay? I record it, I upload it. Everything that you see here, natural. So anyways, I deleted that. And then I recorded a few more. And I just could not get to what I feel like was a clear, helpful place, yes. Like, one thing I do want to make clear is like my intent is to help people understand these things that are going on and to not put out anything that stokes chaos, that isn't helpful, right? But there is times where I will post videos where I am addressing, right? And this is the part where people need to understand you do not need to argue with anyone. Your problems, all your problems, you can hear them in your space, right? From a single point, I can affect many places, right? I know everybody's heard of like the butterfly effect, right? Like if you do something small, then it has big effects. Yes, it's a very real thing, right? And only through monitoring your small actions or your actions over a very long period of time will you understand and see the patterns. Yes. And then that alone like builds on itself. This is something you like actually have to be aware of and conscious of, like on a whole other level, right? To understand. But it is well worth it. Well worth it to put the time in to understand it. So I was able to finally get to a clear speech, right? But the topic, I could sense that there was still a little bit of like anger in me, right? And I try not to mull over topics that aren't really helpful in the bigger picture, right? It might be helpful to others to understand some of the ins and outs that I understand of their system, like local systems and stuff like that. But the tact, because I woke up and I was like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about that now after I've rested, you know. I can get in my zone all night long. And by the end of it, it's sort of like whenever you spend many, many hours doing research and you're running in circles and you get frustrated and, you know, there's a time to step away from it, right? So step away from it, sleep, see how you feel, and then decide, right? So that was the big lesson of the day. Luckily, it didn't upload, so I was able to just delete it. So I didn't have to feel like I'm like, oh, these people are gonna think that I am just an absolute, like, biatch, right? And I am to the nefarious, yes, right? Like don't misinterpret, right? Like I'm addressing a lot of things, yeah. This is like energy, right? The overwhelming and overall energy, if I just observe energy, is negative, nefarious. So then I will get back into my space, right? Like the peaceful run that I did the other day, get in that space, remind myself of where I am, where I need to be. This is my balanced state, yes. And then create the resonance for that to interrupt the nefarious, the overwhelming nefarious, yeah. So I woke up today and already had an issue. We're gonna go over the chaos stuff, right? Whatever's on my brain. I woke up today and I said that to myself and I said, okay, like I deleted it, whatever. I'm gonna have coffee, I'm gonna light my candles, it's gonna be a good night. I went and picked up what I needed from the store this morning so I don't have to do it this evening, and was just getting ready to have a nice evening at home and start working on my stuff that I work on, right? And I get a text message. I was already asked the other day if I would work tomorrow at this particular site, right? I had agreed before I knew about the storm. He had got it covered, which was good, right? Because I found out about the storm. And my area gets hit very hard. I live in the mountains, right? And I work 40 minutes south, right? Two totally different, like, climate effects, yeah. So I get a text message about 7:15, and he's asking me again because somebody wants to call off tonight if I could go work at that site. This is not my site. So I tell him I would prefer not, right? I've already gone over this with with his boss, right? Whenever his boss was my boss. Yeah, I have. I'll tell you what happened. I used to work 48 hours. I loved my job. It was very close. It was like 15 minutes from here. And I would work 48 hours every week and had no problem with it. I worked 12-hour shifts. Well, a pattern began where somebody just decided they needed almost every Thursday off or they couldn't keep somebody employed there, you know? Now, no other site and no other person worked as much as I did, right? No one worked a straight 48 hours. I did this for a year and a half, right? Except for me. So there were people over at that site, and I would find this out later. First, I busted out my window backing into a truck because I had to use my own vehicle up there that cost me $300 the first night I went out there. Second, after I just kept saying yes and working, 60 plus hours a week, covering these constant Thursdays for them, we were all standing out there and I heard them laughing about how one of the guys just didn't want to work it, right? He coulda, right? But because I kept saying yeah, no one was inconvenienced there and they only worked 40 hours. And that was the day that I decided I would never go back. So every time that they asked me from then on, it was it was just no. Right? So my I prefer not was not good enough for him. So then, and I told him, we got the storm coming and stuff like that, right? Well, there's things, it's my day off. There are things at my house I have to take care of, right? I don't have a spouse here to do things for me. I do everything myself. Yes. Yes. So, there's things that I have to do, right? These are my days. Like, that wasn't good enough. And so I told him the real reason or the underlying reason of saying no to Thursdays up there, because somebody likes to make a habit of it. And because I agree to it, they just do it. Right? And that's what it sounds like, is I had agreed to work a Friday. Well, somebody was just like, oh, well, I can just take the Thursday off. She'll say, yeah, these are her days off. Right? And what's funny is the supervisor up there is the reason that it was a collective thing, right? We got a new boss and blah, 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 all this drama. But we ended up losing our site and everything ended up going to Murrayville, right? Which is where I work now. So they've just caused me so many fucking problems up there. There's so much drama over there. I just don't like it, right? And supervisors, what is a supervisor's role? Well, they get paid more money. Right. They get paid more money. They'll come in and they'll work the best shift, yeah. And they'll make more money, right? And that's their duty, right? Other than their little meetings that don't have nothing to do with anything else. But there's another responsibility of the supervisor, and that is to cover for your people, should they not be able to show up for any reason, right? Because if I say yeah, then she's off scot-free, yeah? And I've heard her say countless times over there that she don't want to work that shift, yeah? You don't want to work overnight the same way that I don't want to work, first or second shift anywhere, right? But irregardless, they need to confine their solutions to the site, right? You have people there. Figure it out amongst yourselves, right? Because my boss, my supervisor, doesn't have a problem working it out with the people that work there, right? And I don't have a problem covering for other people. I don't, as long as it's at my site, right? So then that happens, and then I get flustered, right? So now I've got to I got to balance my energy back out. There's a lot of chaos right now. There's a lot of upheaval in the atmosphere. We've got extreme heat over on one side, and we've got extreme cold over on the other. Yeah. And never mind the energy that I am addressing. Yeah. When you address the evil one's energy, trust that it's going to want to come in and just create havoc. Yeah. But once again, just like tonight, say no. No. Stand your ground. You are not going to mess up my order with your bullshit. You are not going to alter my course with your bullshit. You're not. Learn to understand that these things are not random. Learn to understand that it is done purposefully. And all it takes for you to become misaligned and get into the wrong energy is to move in the way that the nefarious wants you to move. The nefarious wants me to give up my evening and my peace to go work for paper that majority of will be given to the nefarious government. Yeah, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. No, I am a bare minimum kind of lady in their shit. Yeah, bare minimum. Because my precious energy is better directed at other things, yes. At my cause, at my order. People need to understand this, right? And it took me a long time to figure when you are a people pleaser, right? Or you come from like a very fear based, very trauma based, like childhood, especially, right? Because they thrive on this. This is what they do, right? Like, I did bring up a good point about this, right? So, whenever I was in Tennessee, right, it gets really icy up there. Those roads and mountains are something else to drive on. Yeah. But these people make young people, right? Because I was younger, think. And they even do it to the older people. They still do it to adults, yes. That if they don't show up for something, for that job, right, for that money, then they will lose it, right? Putting them in a state of fear and this and that, or that they don't have a choice. They sort of disguise it to where they trick you into believing that you don't have a choice, but really you have a choice. And so if you allow the trickery to occur, then you're just agreeing to no choice. You're agreeing to the idea of no choice. Yeah. And think about it. You go from a child with your parents who, if you step out of line or don't do what they want you to do or act the way they want you to act, there's a punishment for that. Just like whenever you're in school for 12 years, if you don't do what they want to do, move the way they want you to move, then there's consequences for that. Yeah. So whenever you get out into the workforce, you're already primed and ready for that sort of behavior. Yeah. These are your new parents. Government's your parents. These managers, these people, these fucking irrelevant people that you'll meet in your life, they're your parents, right? And you have no choice. You better be obedient, obey, dear slave, and put your life at risk for peanuts. Yeah. Because you are disposable after all, yes. All right, so they used to tell us, you better show up, it doesn't matter, right? So you get on the roads and you're sliding around and shit, right? But they're not going to pay for your shit. They're not going to pay for your car, they're not going to pay for your medical bills, and they ain't going to pay you enough to cover the shit on your own, right? So all this loyalty for what? For what? Useless shit, yeah. Just like the people who were in that plant, yeah. When that flood swept through North Carolina, yeah. Oh, you're gonna lose your job. People fearing, oh God, I need my job. Just fucking leave. The mindset that where nefarious makes a move and they're doing it uh, in the wrong energy and for the wrong reasons, that slavery bondage shit, yeah, leave it. This was a lesson I learned. This was a hard lesson I learned when being in an extremely, extremely dysfunctional, trapped, where I felt trapped situation, right? Where they laughed at me, like, where are you gonna go? Who's gonna help you? And then threatening me with what I cared about most. And because of my fear, I just stayed until I was just fucking empty, yeah? Until one day, I lost everything and just stood amongst it. I remember just standing there looking around in an empty house, like, none of this matters. And then I remember having $0 in my car. Just fucking, the block blew. I was able to get to a gas station. I was stuck somewhere in the middle of that mason's business that I worked for, and the town that I was living, yeah. And at that point, I had no solution, no option. I was going to have to rely on something else, something bigger than me, just to trust in the process, right? I was going to have to go with the flow of whatever. And do you know that the flow absolutely took care of me? That's how I learned that you should never feel like you have no choice or ever let them make you believe you were trapped. Because it's just a fucking illusion. One big fat fucking illusion. There are enough good people. There are. That'll meet you at exactly the right time to help you with exactly what you need, right? And I was doing charity, had been doing charity earlier. I like to think of it as my spiritual piggy bank, right? Like whenever I'm doing well, I like to do good for others because I know things can change, right? And one day I'm going to need, well, like that time I needed help, yeah. I needed someone, something, right? And I had been operating on the echoes of where are you going to go? Who's going to help you? You don't have any support. I'm going to take this and this from you, yeah. So don't ever let these people fool you, whether it be a job, your government, a relationship, whatever.